I'm Becky Davis with City TV. Welcome to Inside Santa Barbara, the city's only news magazine show. We bring you up to date on the city's most significant issues, projects, and events. If you consider yourself a people person who likes a challenge and would like a job where no 2 days are the same, we have the job for you. Up next, we're going to give you an exclusive look at what it takes to join the home team. It's not a career for everyone, but it is a dream job for some. Here in Santa Barbara, the police department has a thorough process for making sure the right kind of person dons the uniform of what they call the home team.
We can train someone to fire a gun, or we can train someone in the laws of arrest and search and seizure. What we can't train someone's integrity, right? What's in your heart. So from the very beginning, we're always looking for that person who has good integrity, who really, understands the role and is going to make the right decisions when maybe someone's not looking.
We are not looking for somebody that isn't trained their entire life to be a police officer. We're looking for that fantastic human being that is motivated to provide a community service, and it takes a special person. We actually, the 1 out of 100 applications actually will make it through that process.
Applicants must undergo a rigorous and extensive hiring process, which begins by submitting an application to the city's Human Resources Office. Once all applications are received, applicants take a written exam, followed by a physical agility test.
After that test, they'll come back a few hours later and they'll do a physical agility. And that involves a 500-yard run. That involves a dummy drag, which is 165 pounds, where they'll have to sprint 30 yards and drag that 165 pounds 10 yards. The last thing is they have to run 50 yards, jump over a 6-foot wall, and then sprint another 5 yards. Those are all timed. They have to pass with minimum scores, and if they pass those, then they become eligible with a passing written score to participate in an oral exam.
The oral exam is a panel interview with 3 members of the Santa Barbara Police Department. If applicants pass the oral exam, they'll move on to a captain's interview. After that interview, applicants may be selected to move into a background check process.
The background's extensive. We actually have them do a polygraph exam. They have a close to a 4-hour interview where they go over everything in their past that have led them up to this moment. And then if they actually pass this background investigation, if they meet the minimum standards that police officers standards in training, which is post the state dimensions, then they could be potentially eligible for a chief's interview.
If an applicant makes it through the chief's interview, they have 2 final exams to complete, a medical and a psychological. Upon passing those 2 exams, an applicant receives a job offer. Once hired, recruits begin a 2-week pre-academy before being sent to a 24-week post-academy, where they are challenged both mentally and physically.
I think one of the most challenging parts is just putting their entire effort into the academy. It's a huge culture shock for them at times. Some people that have never been either yelled at, really challenged physically, challenged mentally, really have to endure all the pains and trials that we put them through.
I don't come from a military background, so getting used to the military aspect of how the academy is organized and how it's set up, like marching, drill and formation, inspections, I don't come from that background. So it was more of a culture shock for me at first, but I believe that if your heart's committed to this and this is what you really want to do, then you're willing to adjust and adapt at whatever you need to do to make it happen.
Within the academy, there was almost daily, physical, mental, emotional struggle. But it's good because, this is a stressful job, so the academy gets you mentally where you need to be. So I'm thankful for that experience.
Although the academy is incredibly trying, it produces highly trained peace officers that are ready to take on the challenges of the job.
Some come in kind of meek, kind of unsure of themselves, and you really see them grow and show that command presence and that confidence that we really want to instill in them, and that discipline as well.
You find out what you're made of. You find out that you are capable of facing these challenges and rising to the occasion. You would definitely be stressed down there. You'll definitely be challenged. You'll definitely have nights where you wonder what you got into. But then you come the next day and you found out that you have what it takes. And so that was really the best part about the academy.
The academy shows you what you can do. what you can accomplish, because there's a lot of times during the academy where you say, I can't do this, or I want to quit, or this is too hard. But with the staff and the other recruits there to help support you, you see, you know what, I can do this. And you look back and you feel accomplished.
SBPD recently welcomed 4 new officers to the force during a special swearing-in ceremony in April.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution.
The process doesn't end by completing the academy, though. Once recruits become sworn police officers, they must complete a 4 to 5 month field training program before being placed on patrol on their own.
The mission statement of the academy is to actually get them prepared for what's referred to as a field training process. And that's actually the hardest part of the process to point. We have to make sure that they're going to be safe as police officers handling these scenario-based things that they handled in the police academy. So they'll ride with a field training officer for 16 weeks, sometimes longer, sometimes less, but we basically want to make sure that they can handle all calls for service in a safe manner and in a manner that's a high level for the public service that we demand here at this department.
One thing that makes SBPD unique to many other departments is their emphasis on community-oriented policing.
Hey, Casey, how are you? Good to see you too. How are you? I'm good. How's everything been in this area?
This philosophy plays a key role in determining the type of person they look to recruit.
If you look at what's going wrong nationwide, sometimes a few bad police officers end up creating a black eye for the entire police industry. So we work really, really hard in making sure that we find and get the right people, not only overall for law enforcement, for the community of Santa Barbara, because that's really where our focus is. And we don't police, I wouldn't say we police differently, but we certainly have a strong community-oriented policing program where we interact with the citizens, and we want to make sure that our officers not only can enforce the laws, but can do so in a friendly manner, and that they're serving the community the way we want the community wants us to be served.
5516 Adam, code 6.
If you think SBPD might be a good fit for you, consider scheduling a ride-along.
I went on ride-alongs in a lot of different cities, and once I came on my very first ride-along here with Officer Chung and then Officer Aijen, just fell in love with the city. I fell in love with the city, I fell in love with the whole department. Like, the whole department here is completely different compared to other departments. Here it's more of a family. Here they all work together. They have fun, they do their job, they really care about the people here. So it shifted my mind completely. Once I came here to my first ride along, I went home, I told my parents that this is where I want to work the rest of my life. This is the department that fits me perfect.
I've been here 21 years as a police officer. Actually, my father worked here before me. This is a job I've loved from the day I started here. We work in a great town with a lot of great community members that truly love having us around and are thankful to see us. It's a place that's big enough that there's a variety of assignments to have, from detectives to motorcycle cops to SWAT officers. But it's not so dangerous that it's a horrendous place to work. We work in one of the most beautiful cities in the country, so we're blessed to be here, and quite honestly, the city takes really good care of us.
I've been 27 years in law enforcement. I still love coming to work every day. It's challenging. Some days are better than other days, but I really love, after 27 years, the challenges. I learn something new every day, and that might be a little cliche, but it's absolutely true. And that's the best thing I can offer up, is that 27 years into a career, if you're still happy, if you're still smiling, you still like getting up in the morning going to work, what better job can you have?
If you're interested in joining the home team, visit sbpd.com. If you've traveled Cabrillo Boulevard at State Street recently, you know there's been a lot of construction activity. But the city's project to improve infrastructure in this busy area is now nearing completion. Producer Matthew Meyer has the story.
On an average day, about 6,000 pedestrians and 23,000 vehicles make their way along Santa Barbara's iconic Cabrillo Boulevard. But since 2014, the popular thoroughfare has operated on partial capacity, as the Public Works Department replaces the roadway's aging bridge across Mission Creek.
The Cabrillo Boulevard Bridge Replacement Project is a project to replace a 100-year-old structurally deficient bridge, and also as part of the project we're improving flood conveyance underneath the bridge. The scope of the project includes wider sidewalks on both sides of the bridge, while maintaining 2 lanes in each direction and a center through lane across the bridge for vehicles. So it's making the area more pedestrian friendly. We have more landscape areas. The project also includes creek restoration, both upstream and downstream.
As the city makes these essential improvements, public access to the boulevard has been maintained as much as possible by breaking the project into separate stages.
And so what that means is the project takes a little bit longer. It's a 2-year project, but we're able to maintain a lot of that public use of the area that's so important down here on the waterfront.
Public Works completed the project's first stage, preliminary utility work, in fall of 2014. In Stage 2, they removed and rebuilt the entire north side of the existing bridge, leaving the south side open to the public while they worked.
Right now we just finished Stage 2 of construction, which is the mountain side of the project. So pedestrians, bicycles, and vehicles can use the mountain side of the bridge, 1 lane in each direction. And then we're starting the ocean side of the bridge, which is Stage 3.
With the north side of the bridge now open to traffic, construction shifts across the street. Pedestrians can still access the beachfront via this temporary bridge, an important accommodation for such a popular area.
It provides for beach use during Stage 3 ocean side of construction to allow the beachway to remain open without people needing to cross the street, cross a busy Cabrillo Boulevard when they're out for their morning jogs, their afternoon bike ride. There's a lot of users down here, and so the city determined that it just wasn't reasonable for that to be closed for that period of time.
When Stage 3 is completed, Cabrillo Boulevard will return to normal use. The city estimates that the street's new bridge will have an impressive lifespan, making it well worth the wait.
Ongoing maintenance is always something. The more that is invested in bridges or any civil engineering structures, the longer they'll last. But I would say that this particular bridge, definitely 75 years, potentially as long as 100 years or more.
For more information about the Cabrillo Bridge replacement and other city projects, visit santabarbaraca.gov and click the quick link for construction activity. Stay tuned, we'll be right back with more Inside Santa Barbara.
I grew up here, I've made memories here, and I love being able to drive around knowing that this is my community. I'm helping my community.
We care, and we want to make this community a better place.
This career is for someone who wants to be challenged deep down inside to better a community.
It's the best job in the world, it really is. It's like a dream come true. Join your home team.
Water wisely. It's simple. Visit waterwisesb.org. Let's save together. Welcome back. The Clean Water Act of 1972 changed the way we look at and regulate water pollution. Since the city sends stormwater runoff to the ocean via a storm drain system, it falls under the Act's regulations. Up next, we take a look at how the city abides by those regulations and even goes a little further.
Take a close look at this picture. Yes, that is a river on fire, and no, it's not photoshopped. During the mid-1900s, the Cuyahoga River in northeast Ohio had become so polluted with industrial waste, it caught fire a number of times. The last fire in 1969 got nationwide attention, making it a catalyst for water pollution regulation and the creation of the Clean Water Act.
One of the components of that Clean Water Act is to not only stop factories from discharging pollutants into rivers and waterways, but to also deal with other types of pollution. In Santa Barbara, we don't have big industrial factories spewing pollution into the water, but we do have a big urbanized area where a lot of the city has been paved, and we have what is called non-point source or urban runoff pollution getting into the waterways. We have high levels of bacteria, hydrocarbons, grease, trash, and things like that getting into our waterways and causing them to be, as defined by the Clean Water Act, impaired.
Since Santa Barbara uses a storm drain system to convey runoff to the ocean, it must apply for and maintain compliance with a stormwater discharge or general permit from the state government.
The Creeks Division administers that stormwater permit for the city, and what that means is we implement a lot of different water quality programs, including outreach and education and code enforcement programs. We also work with all of the other departments in the city who have responsibilities for ensuring water quality.
The State Water Resources Control Board and the Regional Water Quality Control Boards are responsible for implementation of the regulations.
These permits are issued for 5 years. The city will submit annual reports to the Water Board, and our staff will review these annual reports to make sure the city is doing everything the city said it was going to do to address the pollutants that the city already knows about and has already documented.
Since so many activities can affect water quality, in 2006 the city created a stormwater management program to ensure compliance with the general permit. The program establishes best management practices, or BMPs, to provide direction for the public and all city departments to follow.
So what we and others have found is that while there are some point sources, and most of them are taken care of with legal means, discharge and permits for discharging, there's a lot of just little amounts of pollution everywhere. And so that's why it's really important that all of the best management practices, or BMPs, or stormwater improvement projects, even though they might seem very small and even tedious and burdensome at some times, when we add up all of those together, we're hoping to see long-term improvements in water quality.
Best management practices utilized by city departments include reducing the use of pesticides in our parks, proper hazardous waste disposal at the harbor, and sewer main monitoring by the Public Works Department. The Creeks Division has also spearheaded a number of so-called low-impact development projects that not only improve water quality and promote groundwater recharge, they also provide great examples for the public to follow.
The best example I can think of is at the McKenzie Park parking lot. It's an example of hardscape put in, pavers that allow water to infiltrate into the ground.
The movement now, and this is nationwide, is to try to soak as much of that water into the ground as possible. And what that does is it takes all of the pollutants that it might be washing off of paved surfaces and puts it into the ground with the stormwater. And it works its way very slowly, weeks to months to years to decades to the nearest creek or groundwater source. And along the way, it's cleaned up by the microbes and even just physical chemical processes in the soil.
Since its creation in 2001, the City of Santa Barbara Creeks Division has been at the forefront of stormwater runoff management, ensuring and exceeding compliance with all government regulations while striving for a day when water pollution is a thing of the past.
Eventually, and it might take a while, this might take several decades, this might take a century, but eventually you are going to walk down the street during a rainstorm and it's going to look very strange to see water running off into the gutters. We're not going to just allow, during a small to medium storm, this precious resource, this resource that we need to infiltrate into the ground, work its way to our groundwater and our creeks and be cleaned up along the way. We're not going to see that just running off into the streets.
For more information about stormwater management, visit sbcreeks.com. With all of the technological innovation in recent years, you may be surprised by how little wastewater treatment has changed in the last century. But there have been advancements. Next, we'll see how an upcoming project here at El Estero will both improve energy efficiency and the quality of water that gets sent to the ocean.
Say hello to Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter, two forms of bacteria currently playing supporting roles in the biological treatment of wastewater here in Santa Barbara that are about to become the stars. To understand how these two bacteria will help, you first have to understand the role bacteria plays in the wastewater treatment process.
And it's a biological process. The microorganisms are feeding on the leftover organic matter that comes from the primary treatment process. Then once they have a full stomach, you settle them out in the secondary clarifiers, you return them back around for another feeding and in a continuous cycle of treatment. It's very important to keep the concentration of organisms properly maintained and provide them the environment they need to thrive.
But the bacteria doing most of the heavy lifting of organics removal now aren't particularly good at removing nutrients from the wastewater. And while water discharged into the ocean from El Estero meets all regulatory requirements, less of this so-called turbidity would be even better. It'd also be better for the recycled water system that is downstream from the secondary process. That's where Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter come in. You see, these so-called nitrifying bacteria have a penchant for some of the stuff that's up till now been particularly difficult to remove from wastewater.
So the nitrifying bacteria that we're going to be growing moving forward break the ammonia and nitrogenous material down to remove it from the system. So there's a nitrogen cycle. It's similarly occurring in plants. So there's a whole nitrogen cycle in plants. That's why manure has nitrogen in it and phosphorus and other nutrients. And so we're trying to remove these nutrients from the water so we don't cause nutrient pollution in the receiving waters and then for our recycled water.
The problem is these nitrifying bacteria are a little picky about their living conditions, and the 40-year-old equipment currently at El Estero isn't capable of supporting them. That's one of the reasons El Estero is beginning a complete overhaul of the secondary process.
All the different microorganisms, they all have a different life cycle, and we can change the types of microorganisms growing in the system by changing the time we maintain the microorganisms in the system. Nitrifying bacteria need 5 to 8 days to grow. So right now we're running around 2 days. We're going to be going to 5 to 8 days moving forward with the project. So we'll be able to grow and cultivate these microorganisms that we cannot currently grow.
The improvements will give El Estero staff more precise control of the aerobic process and keep those nitrifying bacteria happy. But the bacteria won't be the only ones to benefit from the project.
One of the major benefits with the project is the energy efficiency that we're going to get. Electrical costs are a major operating cost at the facility, and so with the new blowers and the new mixers, they're going to be much more efficient at delivering the air and keeping everything sustained.
I guess you could compare it to, a car built in 1970 versus a car built in the year 2016. So if you can think about the emissions from a car from the 70s or how much gas you're burning, same effect.
In addition to equipment and monitoring improvements in the secondary process, the primary process will get some upgrades too.
We're moving to a chemically enhanced primary treatment, which allows us to remove more solids and material from the primary clarifiers, which then goes to the digesters, and we'll be able to produce more biogas. And right now we're currently producing 70% of our own power on site from another project, our cogeneration facility, and this will allow us to hopefully increase that gas production to produce more power on site.
The $31 million project is being financed through a state revolving fund loan.
It's a low-interest loan to the city where we'll be paying about 1.9% over 20 years for the project. Increases started in 2014 to pay for this.
The new secondary process improvement project will not only keep a lot of bacteria happy, it'll keep the 100,000 customers of El Estero Wastewater Treatment Plant happy too. The project will improve efficiency and the quality of water that goes to the recycled water facility and to the ocean. And while you may not think much about the intricacies of wastewater treatment, the good folks at El Estero have got you covered, so thankfully, you don't have to.
To learn more about the El Estero Wastewater Treatment Plant, visit santabarbaraca.gov/water. Stay tuned, we'll be right back with more Inside Santa Barbara.
Meet the most fascinating man in the world. When droughts happen, water experts go to him for water-saving actions. His front lawn requires no water because he replaced it with water-wise plants. He only works 2 days a week, and so do his sprinklers. He uses so little water, overwatered plants seek refuge in his yard.
I know a lot about saving water, but when I want to know more, I go to waterwisesb.org. Let's save together, my friends.
Drive one down the middle. Chip it close. Sink the putt. Get your game on at Santa Barbara Golf Club.
Welcome back. The Cabrillo Pavilion is one of Santa Barbara's most significant public assets, but its outdated interior and aging structure have limited its potential. Fortunately, the city has plans to renovate this valuable facility so that it can serve our community well into the future. Located on East Beach, the Cabrillo Pavilion and Bathhouse has served as a key coastal recreation facility for nearly 90 years. The building was a gift to the city by David Gray in 1927, who asked that it be dedicated for park purposes and public use. In the years that followed, the pavilion served as a venue for social events, fitness activities, youth programs, and even an Army redistribution center during World War II.
Some key aspects of this project are honoring the legacy of David Gray, to have that foresight to dedicate a building for the public and public recreation. Today, what we use the pavilion for is exactly what it was intended for. It is very much a social center, cultural center, recreational center, and it provides access to East Beach.
The building's aging structure and poor site accessibility limits its potential to serve Santa Barbara residents and visitors. Determined to restore the crown jewel of East Cabrillo Boulevard, the Parks and Recreation Department plans to renovate the building's interior, exterior, and surrounding site.
In setting out to undertake this renovation, the city's key vision here is to restore and enhance the building to serve the Santa Barbara community for recreation for the foreseeable future.
Site improvements include renovated landscaping, improved parking and facility accessibility, and the renovation of outdoor showers and walkways surrounding the building. The project will also install a portable boardwalk to connect the promenade to the beach.
So the project essentially is a full-scale renovation of both the interior and the exterior site. A great deal of what we'll be doing on the exterior is actually bringing it up to today's accessibility standards.
In addition to accessibility upgrades, exterior building improvements include repairs to the building facade, waterproofing of the foundation's perimeter, and the addition of a first-floor service entrance. These renovations will match the Spanish colonial revival style of the building. Interior renovations will include a complete overhaul of the building's mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and communication systems, and upgrade the pavilion's structural integrity.
We're planning to return the first floor to its original configuration, where the entryway was a tea room, a major special events room, and then we're redesigning the shower locker facilities and relocating them to one side of the building. We're maintaining a restaurant concession area. We're building in multi-purpose rooms so that we can continue to provide sports programs, youth programs, gym programs, and other types of recreational uses for the community. And then lastly, there'll be an elevator that connects the two floors so that the building is much more integrated.
To date, funding for the project includes $9 million of former redevelopment agency funds and a total budget of $13 million.
Now that we're working on our final plans and we have our permits for the building, we're identifying opportunities to fundraise to fill the gap between $9.1 million and the $13 million. We're hoping that through both community fundraising as well as looking for state and other governmental agency sources of funds, we'll be able to bridge that gap in the next couple of years.
By ensuring the Cabrillo Pavilion and Bathhouse's future, this historic beachfront facility will continue to enhance the lives of Santa Barbara residents for generations to come.
This building, I think, has a lot of different meanings to the community. There are generations of Santa Barbarans that came here to do junior lifeguards, so they relate to the beach and the bathhouse. There's many families that were started here because people often use this site as a wedding venue. It's been a cultural location where there's been music, dance, parties. It could be where they come for breakfast on Sunday. It could be where they come to bring their children to play on the playground. And then in the summertime, it's a popular beach destination.
For more information about the Cabrillo Pavilion project, visit santabarbaraca.gov/parksandrec and click on the Key Initiatives tab. Located in the heart of Santa Barbara's cultural hub, the Central Library provides a variety of services to our diverse community. Now, a new city project aims to make everything the building has to offer even more accessible. Matthew Meyer has the story.
Santa Barbara's public library is a true community resource. Each day, guests ranging from toddlers to seniors use the library to access information and stretch their imaginations. On their way into the building, guests cross through the library's aging plaza, an area that the city plans to upgrade in the upcoming Library Plazas and Paseos project.
The current design of the plaza is one that it's dated and it has a lot of low-lying areas that are hidden and creates visibility issues. This new design will allow for completely flat and open, so all of the hedges and retaining walls that you see now will be removed, and it'll be very open, and you'll be able to see this inviting, beautiful library.
An inviting plaza is part of the project's general goal to improve the library's accessibility. On the building's south side, the city will also add a new ramp to meet access standards laid out by the Americans with Disabilities Act.
You can see there is no ADA access to the side of the building, but many people park here and come across to enter the facility, and they actually need to go all the way around the building to access. So that was one of the major components. And in fact, the entire plaza project really addresses the ADA issues throughout.
For help addressing these challenges, the library turned to the local design firm of Campbell & Campbell. Architect Regula Campbell grew up in Santa Barbara and drew on childhood memories of the library to influence the new design.
Behind the reference desk, so that the librarians were backlit, because it's looking to the south, of course, was a courtyard. And you could take books or magazines, whatever, and go out in this kind of open-air reading room. So in this project, I really felt we were looking to recreate that feel of having an exterior space, almost an exterior reading room.
The new exterior space will display a redesigned water feature, which draws from library history as well.
This project takes us back to the reflecting pools that were in the original design of the plaza. And so when this project was being looked at, the designers paid special attention to some of those detailed elements.
Beyond the aesthetic improvements and accessibility measures, the plaza project also improves external lighting, relocates bike parking, and makes landscaping more drought-friendly. These are all improvements suggested by the public at community workshops held during the planning phase.
We are committed to a participatory design process in which we invite members of the community to come in and actually participate and work on the design of the project.
Once the city completes the project, community members will have plenty of opportunities to enjoy the plaza that they helped design. The library plans to bring the space to life with a variety of programs.
Increasing our partnership opportunities for sure, having a lot of art, culture. We're even looking at possibly having some type of a tenant on the site, so having coffee or some type of refreshments that can be purchased on the actual site, just kind of furthering our reach outside our doors.
However the library chooses to use the space, the new plaza will serve as a central community center for years to come.
This is a project that's not going to last 5 years or 10 years. We realize that we're looking at a long period of time, low maintenance and durable, as well as beautiful and contributing to the downtown environment.
To learn more about the library and the many programs it has to offer, visit santabarbaraca.gov/library. Well, that does it for this episode of Inside Santa Barbara. If you have any questions or comments about the show, you can give us a call at 564-5311. You can also watch the show online at santabarbaraca.gov/citytv. I'm your host, Becky Davis, and remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara.